The rain pounded against my bedroom window like it was trying to break in, each drop a reminder of the storm brewing inside me. I was 22, curled up on my twin bed in our family's creaky old house in upstate New York, staring at the cracked ceiling I'd memorized since childhood. My name's Lila Carter, and I'd just done something unthinkable, something that could either tear my family apart or finally set me free. I'd faked dropping out of college, forged a transcript so convincing even my professors would have bought it, all to test one burning question: did my family love me, or for what I could become? Let me back up. Growing up, I was the other Carter sister. My older sister, Vanessa, 25 and radiant as a summer sunrise, was the golden child. Blonde curls, perfect GPA, a smile that could charm a snake. She was Dad's pride, Mom's joy, and the town's darling. Me. I was the quiet one, the bookworm with messy brown hair and a knack for fixing things: computers, locks, even the ancient furnace in our basement. Dad called me practical, which stung like a backhanded compliment. Mom just sighed when I'd ramble about coding or my dreams of starting a tech company. "Lila, why can't you be more like Vanessa?" she'd say, not even looking up from her phone. Our house, a sprawling Victorian with peeling paint, sat on the edge of Willow Creek, a small town where everyone knew the Carters. Dad, a retired lawyer, had built a modest fortune through real estate deals, or so he said. The mansion, his crown jewel, was a sleek, modern estate he'd bought up the hill, all glass and marble, meant for the future of the family. Everyone assumed it'd go to Vanessa when she married her fiancé, Ethan, a slick investment banker who smelled like too much cologne. The wedding was 6 months away, and the whole town was buzzing about it. I'd always felt like an outsider in my own family, but I didn't realize how deep it ran until I turned 21. Dad had sat us down at the oak dining table, his gray eyes serious. "The mansion's for the daughter who proves herself," he'd said, glancing at Vanessa. "The one who carries the Carter legacy." Vanessa beamed. I shrank. Prove myself? I was pulling all-nighters at Cornell, majoring in computer science, building apps in my dorm. But to them, I was just Lila, the fixer, not the star. That's when the idea hit me. What if I wasn't the perfect daughter anymore? Would they still love me if I failed? So I faked it. I doctored a transcript showing I'd flunked out, sent it to Mom and Dad with a tearful email. "I'm so sorry, I couldn't handle the pressure." I even stopped answering their calls for a week, letting them think I was spiraling. It was a gamble, a test to see if they'd rally around me or push me away. The response came faster than I expected. Mom called, her voice sharp. "Lila, how could you do this? After all we've sacrificed." Dad was worse. His email was a single line: "You've disappointed us." Vanessa texted me a pitying emoji, followed by, "Maybe you should try community college?" No one asked if I was okay. No one drove the 2 hours to check on me. Instead, I got an invite to Vanessa's engagement party at the mansion, with a note: "Hope you can make it, despite everything." My stomach churned as I packed a bag to head home. I wasn't done yet. If they thought I was a failure, I'd play the part, until I could uncover what they were hiding. Because something felt off. Dad's legacy talk, the way Mom avoided my questions about his finances, Vanessa's smug confidence, it didn't add up. I'd spent years tinkering with locks and systems. Now, I'd crack open the truth. The drive to Willow Creek was a blur of autumn leaves and regret. When I pulled up to the mansion, its glass walls gleamed under the October sky, a stark contrast to our old house. Vanessa greeted me at the door, her diamond ring catching the light.
"Lila!"
"You made it," she said, hugging me like we were best friends. Ethan shook my hand, his grip too tight. Mom and Dad were inside, mingling with guests, local bigwigs, Ethan's finance bros, and Vanessa's sorority sisters. I felt like a ghost in my own family's story. Dinner was a parade of toasts to Vanessa and Ethan. Dad stood, glass raised. "To my daughter, who's made us so proud. This mansion will be yours, Vanessa, to start your new life." The room cheered. I forced a smile. my fork stabbing my salad. Mom leaned over, whispering, "Lila, maybe you can help with the wedding planning? It'd be a good way to contribute. Contribute. Like I was a charity case." That night, alone in the guest room, I opened my laptop. I'd brought my toolkit, USB drives, a lockpick set, and a burner phone. If they thought I was a dropout, fine. I'd use that cover to dig. Dad's office was in the old house, where he kept his safe. I'd seen him punch in the code once years ago, before he started locking the door. If there were answers, they'd be there. The next morning, I slipped into the old house while Mom and Vanessa were at a bridal boutique. The air smelled of dust and Dad's old cigars, a scent that yanked me back to childhood summers spent reading in his office while he worked. Back then, he'd ruffle my hair and call me his little problem solver. Now I was just a problem. The office door was locked, but I'd been picking locks since I was 12, thanks to a YouTube tutorial phase. The deadbolt gave way in under a minute. Inside, the room was a time capsule, mahogany desk, law books, a safe tucked behind a painting of our old dog, Max. I slid the painting aside, my heart pounding. The safe's keypad glowed faintly. I tried the old code I'd glimpsed, 7-2-9-4. Nothing. Figures. Dad was paranoid about security. I pulled out my laptop and ran a brute force script I'd coded in high school to crack basic keypads. It cycled combinations, but after 10 minutes, it locked out. "Damn it," I muttered, pacing. Then I noticed Dad's desk drawer, slightly ajar. Inside was a leather notebook, pages yellowed. I flipped it open, expecting case notes, but found something else. Dates, numbers, and cryptic phrases like offshore transfer, V's trust, and Lila's fund, redirect. My breath caught. Lila's fund? I snapped photos of every page, my hands shaking. Was Dad hiding money meant for me? And why was Vanessa's name tied to offshore accounts? I shoved the notebook back, my mind racing. I needed more, something concrete. That afternoon, Vanessa cornered me in the kitchen. "Lila, you okay? You've been weird." Her tone was sweet, but her eyes were sharp, like she was fishing. I shrugged, playing the defeated dropout. "Just figuring things out, you know?" She hugged me, her perfume overwhelming. "You'll bounce back. Maybe Ethan can get you a job at his bank." I nodded, biting back a retort. A job? I was top of my class, building apps that could outsmart half his team. But she didn't know that. Over the next week, the betrayal sank deeper. Mom stopped asking about my plans, instead gushing about Vanessa's wedding dress. Dad barely looked at me, muttering about discipline when I tried to talk. At a family dinner, Ethan smirked. "Lila, heard you're taking a break from school? Smart move. College isn't for everyone." Vanessa giggled, and I gripped my glass so hard I thought it'd crack. I kept digging. Late at night, I hacked into Dad's old desktop. His password was still Carter Legacy 123, pathetic for a lawyer. His emails were a goldmine. Correspondence with a bank in the Caymans, transfers labeled Vanessa's future, and a single mention of Lila's trust, closed. Closed. My college fund, my future, gone? I felt like I'd been punched. But there was more, a locked file named Vault. I couldn't crack it without a physical key, likely in the safe. I started tailing Vanessa, subtle-like. She was always on her phone, whispering to Ethan about the plan when they thought I wasn't listening. One night, I overheard her at the mansion. "Once we get the deed, it's set. Lila won't know." My blood ran cold. The deed to the mansion? Was that their endgame? I needed a way into that safe, but Dad was home now, working late. So I did something reckless. I forged a fake ID. Not just any ID, but one for Lila Carter, estate manager, using Photoshop and a template I found on the dark web. If I could pass as someone official, maybe I could bluff my way into Dad's trust. I printed it on cardstock, laminated it, and practiced my story. I was hired to audit the family's assets. Risky, but I was done being invisible. At Vanessa's bridal shower, I tested the waters. The mansion was packed with her friends, all champagne and fake laughs. I slipped into Dad's temporary office there, claiming I needed estate papers for a class project. He frowned but handed me a folder, useless tax forms. His eyes lingered on me, suspicious. "Lila, don't meddle in things you don't understand," he warned. I smiled, heart hammering. He knew something was up. Hey, if you're gasping at this family drama, smash that like button. It helps us keep these stories coming. I'd say, pausing for effect. Subscribe and hit the bell for more betrayals and epic comebacks. You won't believe what's next. The fake ID burned a hole in my pocket as I planned my next move. I'd hit a wall with the safe, but the notebook's cryptic notes kept me up at night. Lila's fund, redirect. Redirected where? And why was Vanessa's name all over Dad's accounts? I needed answers, but the deeper I dug, the more dangerous it felt. One night, I snuck back into the old house, my lockpick ready. The safe was my last shot. My script was still running, but it was slow, too slow. Then I remembered Dad's old habit. He'd scribble backup codes on post-its, hidden in plain sight. I searched his office, lifting books, checking drawers. Under a coffee mug, I found it, a crumpled note with 7-4-1-8. I punched it in, holding my breath. The safe clicked open. Inside were stacks of cash, gold bars, and a USB drive labeled Carter Trust. I plugged it into my laptop, bypassing the encryption with a tool I'd built for a class project. Files flooded my screen, bank statements, property deeds, and a document titled Lila's Inheritance. My heart stopped. It detailed a $5 million trust in my name, set up when I was born, meant for my 25th birthday. But there were amendments, signed by Dad, redirecting it to Vanessa's wedding fund. The date. Last month, right after my dropout email. I felt sick. They'd written me off the second I failed. But there was more, a video file. I clicked play, and Dad's face filled the screen, time-stamped 2 years ago. "If you're watching this, Lila, I'm sorry," he said, his voice heavy. "The vault's contents are yours, not Vanessa's. She doesn't know. Keep it safe." The vault? Not the safe, the vault. The mansion had a hidden vault, built during Dad's real estate days. I'd heard rumors as a kid, but never found it. Before I could process, headlights flashed outside. I yanked the USB, locked the safe, and hid under the desk. Footsteps echoed, Dad and Ethan. "She's been in here," Ethan said, voice low. "I saw her car." Dad cursed. "If Lila finds the vault, we're screwed." My pulse raced. The vault was real, and they were hiding it. I slipped out as they left, my mind spinning. Why hide it from me? And how did Ethan know? I tailed him the next day, using a GPS tracker I'd rigged from an old phone. He drove to a shady warehouse outside town, meeting a guy in a suit, shady, with a briefcase. I snapped photos, zooming in on the briefcase's logo, Cayman Trust. Offshore money, just like the notebook. Back home, Vanessa was acting weirder. She kept locking her room, whispering on calls. I planted a cheap mic from Amazon under her desk. Risky, but I was desperate. The audio was gold. "Ethan, once the mansion's ours, we sell it. The vault's a bonus." Sell the mansion? And the vault? They were planning to cash out and cut me out completely. I confronted Mom, hoping she'd crack. "Why's Dad so obsessed with Vanessa's wedding?" I asked, casual-like. She froze, then deflected. "It's a big moment, Lila. Don't be jealous." Jealous? I was furious. But I played dumb, nodding. That night, I hacked Vanessa's iCloud, Her password was her birthday, classic. Her texts to Ethan were damning. Lila's clueless. Vaults in the basement. We move after the wedding. The basement. I'd never explored the mansion's lower level. Too creepy, all concrete and shadows. But now I had a lead. I snuck in at 2 a.m., armed with a flashlight and my fake ID in case I got caught. The basement was a maze of storage rooms, but one door was different. Heavy steel, with a biometric lock. No way I could crack that without Dad's fingerprint. Or, could I? I remembered a hack I'd seen online, using graphite powder to lift prints. I swiped some from Dad's desk, dusted his coffee mug, and pressed the print onto a silicone mold. It was a long shot, but I was running out of time. The wedding was in 3 days. The next twist hit hard. At breakfast, Dad announced, "Lila, we're putting you in charge of the guest list. Keep you busy." Busy. More like distracted. I nodded, but my fake ID was ready. I'd pose as the estate manager and demand access to the basement for safety checks. If that failed, I'd use the print. Hey, if you're on the edge of your seat, hit that like button. It means the world to our channel. I'd say, leaning in. Subscribe and ring the bell for more insane twists. You won't see this next part coming. I had 3 days to pull this off. The vault was my endgame, but I needed a plan that wouldn't just expose them, it'd make them regret ever doubting me. I spent hours in my room, mapping it out. Step 1. Confirm the vault's contents. Step 2. Turn their greed against them. Step 3. Walk away with what was mine. I started with the fake ID. I called the mansion's security company, posing as Lila Carter, estate manager. My voice was steady, professional. "I need access to the basement for a pre-wedding inspection," I said. The guy hesitated but agreed to meet me the next day. Step 1. Check. Next, I needed leverage. The USB had bank records, but I wanted more. I hacked into Ethan's email. His password was Vanessa forever, gag, and found a bombshell. He was planning to sell the mansion to a developer post-wedding, splitting the cash with Vanessa and Dad. The vault's contents, gold, bonds, maybe more, were their retirement plan. I downloaded everything, backing it up on a cloud drive. The security guy met me at the mansion's back entrance. I flashed my ID, heart pounding. He barely glanced at it, waving me in. The basement door's biometric lock was my hurdle, but the graphite print worked, barely. The door hissed open, revealing a concrete room with a steel vault, keypad glowing. I tried the safe's code, 7-4-1-8. It clicked. Inside were gold bars, stacks of cash, and a ledger listing $10 million in assets, all in my name. Dad's video wasn't lying. This was mine. I didn't take anything, yet. I needed them to think they'd won. My plan was simple but brutal. Let them open the vault at the wedding, expecting to cash out, only to find it empty. I'd move the contents first, using their own greed to trap them. I rented a storage unit in town, cash payment, under a fake name. I borrowed a friend's van, shout out to my old coding buddy Mia, and spent a night hauling the vault's contents out, piece by piece. It was grueling, but adrenaline kept me going. I left a decoy, fake gold bars, spray-painted weights from Mia's gym, and a forged ledger. The wedding day arrived, a sunny spectacle at the mansion. Vanessa glowed in her gown, Ethan smirked in his tux, and Dad played proud father. I wore a simple black dress, blending in, my burner phone ready. I'd rigged a hidden camera in the basement, streaming to my laptop. When they went for the vault, I'd have proof. Mid-reception, I slipped away, claiming a headache. I overheard Ethan whisper to Vanessa, "Tonight, we check the vault." Perfect. I waited, watching my feed. At midnight, they snuck downstairs, Dad, Vanessa, Ethan, and the shady Cayman guy. They opened the vault, expecting riches. Instead, Ethan cursed, pulling out a fake bar. "What the hell?" Vanessa shrieked. Lila did this. I stepped into the basement, phone recording. Looking for something? I said, cool as ice. Dad's face went white. Lila, what are you doing? I held up the real ledger, smiling. Taking what's mine. Oh, and the cops are on their way. Bank fraud's a felony. The basement felt like a courtroom, their faces guilty as sin. Vanessa lunged at me, but Ethan held her back. You little sneak, she spat. I didn't flinch. Sneak. You stole my inheritance. I played Dad's video on my phone, his apology echoing. Dad sank onto a crate, head in hands. Lila, I thought you weren't ready. Not ready. I laughed, bitter. You redirected my trust fund the second I failed. You chose her. I pointed at Vanessa, who looked away. Ethan tried to bolt, but my camera feed was already with Mia, who'd called the police. Sirens wailed outside. The cops arrived, led by a detective I'd tipped off with the bank records. They arrested Ethan and the Cayman guy for fraud. Vanessa and Dad were detained for questioning. I handed over the USB, my evidence airtight. The vault's contents were safe in my storage unit, legally mine per the ledger. The aftermath was chaos. The wedding was cancelled, guests whispering as they left. Vanessa sobbed in the driveway, her dress muddy. Mom begged me to forgive them, but I was done. I moved the assets to a new trust, hired a lawyer, and sold the mansion to a community center. Ironic, right? I kept the old house, fixing it up as my own. Months later, I launched my tech startup, funded by my inheritance. It's small but growing, with an app that's already got 50K downloads. Vanessa's shunned in Willow Creek, Ethan's in jail, and Dad's facing charges. Mom calls sometimes, but I'm not ready to talk. I learned one thing. Family isn't blood, it's who shows up when you're down. I'm building my own legacy now, one line of code at a time. Hey, if this story had you cheering, hit that like button and subscribe for more insane family dramas. I'd say, wrapping up. Comment below, what would you do if your family betrayed you? Share this video, and stay tuned for our next story. My best friend stole my startup idea. My viral launch crushed her. Hit the bell so you don't miss it.